Hi everybody, my name is Brandon. You all probably know my beautiful wife here is taking video, Miss Erin Maguire.
Hi guys.
So today we're gonna pretty much show you how to use some leftovers to make something completely different. So we have some leftover ham from Easter. Got a baked potato leftover. We can make some home fries. Some leftover veggies, stuff that we just found in the fridge, and we're gonna make an omelet with some home fries. First off, I figure got some spare cheese left over from a block of cheese. You can grate some cheese. Now, if you're gonna grate cheese, doesn't really matter what size, those type of things don't really do much of a difference right now with just basic kind of cooking. So, got a cheese grater here, comes all different forms, different sizes. Pretty much all you're just gonna do is press some pressure on there and just move it along the cheese grater. Grate some cheese up. So in that case, depending on how much you like cheese or if you don't like cheese at all, you can either add it to your omelet or not add it to your omelet. All right, next, we got some leftover veggies, leftover piece of green pepper. Green peppers are great in omelets. So, cutting. I'm sure everybody has different types of knives. If you have any type of knife like this, it's always probably best for cutting veggies. Now, when you're gonna cut or chop veggies, with just like any knife, you want to slice. You don't want to chop or slam. That's not really how knives were meant to use. So, best way, keep your fingers tucked in. You don't want to cut your fingers off. That's how you hold everything. So, you're going to just slide the knife every time you cut it. You get a couple slices of green pepper. Now, we're going to chop these up into smaller slices. I'm going to do it a little faster than I just showed you. But you take your time and practice. We got a red onion, also left over from something else I cooked. Real easy way to get rid of a lot of stuff in your fridge without going bad. Now with the omelet, I'm not gonna put a ton of onion in it. It can be overpowering. So I'll just slice off about half and just chop that up as well. Now if you have a cutting board, anytime you scrape your knife on the cutting board, always use the back of your knife. If you use the front of your knife, you're gonna start dulling that knife a lot faster. So if you're trying to move things on your cutting board, use the back of the knife. Now, big fan of mushrooms. Now mushrooms aren't a big popular item. They're really good for you. You should try it sometime. So, I'm gonna rinse these off real quick. Just get any excess dirt off. So since I'm pretty close to getting to the end of chopping everything, I'm going to start heating up my pans. Now, you don't want to overheat your pans and you don't want to underheat them. You want them about mid-range. But anytime you fry anything, you always want to start off with a hot pan. You don't want to start with it cold and throw everything into it. So on this left side is going to be where my home fries are going to be made. So I'm going to start that about medium heat, maybe a little bit less, just to slowly start heating it up. And the other side here is going to be for the eggs and the omelet. So both a little bit on the lower heat. I am going to use a little bit of butter and oil in my home fries. The butter is going to add for flavor, but butter can burn. So a lot of times you want to add oil to it to help actually keep it from burning the butter. With my omelet and my veggies, it's just going to be olive oil. I don't need the extra butter. I love it, but I don't need the extra butter. So let me finish chopping up these veggies. Potato up. Now, for the sake of ease, I actually went and microwaved a potato to make it look like I had a baked potato. But if you have a baked potato, it's a good way to reuse one. And if you don't, poke some holes in it, throw it in the microwave, 5-6 minutes, you got a baked potato. Just be careful when you take it out, it's really hot. So we're gonna cut these. This is a red potato. I like the skins on the red potato. I'm gonna leave them on. And we're just gonna cut these into cubes. Pans are starting to warm up.
What should you make sure you do before you crack that egg on the counter?
Make sure the counter's clean. Again, same thing. Crack the egg, press your fingers in where you broke it, and just pull it apart. It'll pull right apart for you. Of course, doing an omelet, you're gonna have to mix the eggs up. Now, some people like putting butter in with their eggs, makes it a little bit fluffier. Honestly, you can do the same thing just by actually mixing the eggs more. The more you mix the eggs, I guess you would say the frothier they would get. So what you're gonna want to do, start with just poking the yolks. Flip them over once, poke the yolks with a fork, and then just spin. Turn the heat up a little bit on the smaller one. Since the potatoes are already cooked, you're really just trying to sear the outsides of it. So you actually want to have the heat about medium high. You don't want to go too hot. Again, you don't want to burn anything. Add a dash of oil.
Look at my fancy new oven. I say that like I'm the one that gets to use it. As you can see, I am not the one that does the cooking.
A little bit of butter just for flavor. Everyone's starting to heat up a little bit. Now we got to saute the veggies. So we're going to turn that up to about the same temperature. Now, of course, everybody's got different ovens. You might have gas, which I like. You might have electric, like we have, which I'm getting used to.
Sorry.
But we want them all around about that temperature. We're gonna take our potatoes. Now place them into the fryer. Don't throw stuff into hot oil, it makes a mess, and you get burned. You learn the hard way. Don't do that. Now we're gonna take our veggies and put those in the saute pan too. Now again, the back of the knife. If you're ever using a knife to scrape anything off the cutting board, use the back of the knife. If not, you're gonna ruin a knife. All right, so try to get these mixed up a little bit. Turn these up a little bit more. Like I said, you really just want to get these fried. These are cooking. I'll come over here and get my leftovers. Now that we got a clear cutting board, I'm going to take a couple pieces of ham. As you can see, veggies are starting to get hot. They're going to start getting soft. It's going to take a little bit. As you can see, just flipping these potatoes around, you can start seeing the brown getting on there. If you can. A little salt and pepper, just for flavor. Just a little bit of each. You don't want too much salt. If you oversalt something, there's no way going back. As you can also see, everything's almost got about half size of what it was. Now since the ham's already cooked, just like any other leftover, which you can use just about anything if you want to put it in an omelet, it doesn't need to be overcooked. It's already cooked. So you just want to heat it up a little bit. That's why you wouldn't put it in with the veggies. Those are starting to break down. I flip my potatoes over here. You can really start to see them get a nice little brown on them. You want to get that crust on there. Gives it that crunch. Because if you're going to use an already baked potato, it's already soft on the inside, so you're not really trying to cook it to make it any softer. Getting kind of close where we're going to be putting the eggs in. What you're going to want to do right before you put the eggs in, you're going to want to turn this temperature down on your pan. When you cook eggs, you don't want to put it in a pan that's too hot because you'll end up burning the bottom half of the eggs and the top half will still be raw. You want to kind of slow cook them a little bit, but not obviously on low or anything like that, or they just won't cook. So we're going to turn the temperature down to about medium. The pan's still going to stay pretty warm for a while. Take some of this ham now. Since those veggies are pretty much fully cooked, obviously they're about almost less than half the size of what they were before. We're going to add in the ham. We're going to mix this ham in here. We're just trying to heat it up. Again, we're not trying to cook it again, so it's not going to be in there that long. We're just trying to heat it all up. All right, as you can see, even the ham's starting to shrink up a little bit. My potatoes are starting to get a nice crispy crust on there. All right, so ham's in, veggies are in. We're going to pour in the eggs. Now, I've kind of put everything on its own, kind of flattened everything out into the pan. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more because it's still pretty hot. I'm going to take the eggs one more time. I'm going to mix them one more time. Make sure they're well blended. Like I said, the fluffier they are, the more you blend them. Some people can add milk to them. If you want to add milk, it makes them even fluffier. I'm going to take the eggs, pour them right on top of everything. Now, obviously, eggs are going to be runny. It's going to find its own hole to kind of mix everything in. And we're going to let that sit. We're not going to touch it. You want that bottom of the egg to actually cook. That's why you want it turned down to a lower temperature. Potatoes are starting to get nice and crispy. You got to keep an eye on those. As you can see, that egg is starting to yellow a little bit more on the bottom. So it means it's starting to cook. You can see on the top, it's still raw. So just let it sit. Potatoes pretty much done. I'm going to turn off the heat on those. I'm going to turn my fan on here as well. I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to leave them in the pan to keep them warm. I don't want it on the same burner. The same burner is going to still carry some heat to it. So I'm going to go around the outside of this pan with a spatula, just see how cooked we are. Still want to let this go. You can see the top's still a little bit raw, but it's really close. It's holding to itself. Now, if you turn the pan like this and it all just started running off, you'd know that was too long. We're going to get right underneath this. Already broke it. It's okay though. See? I had too much in there. But what I'm going to end up doing is turning it into a scramble. Could bind all back together. I'm not too worried about it. Now, while this is still all cooking here, it's not going to take very long to cook the other side. I'm going to take my cheese and sprinkle my cheese on top. Normally, if this was an omelet, you'd end up taking half of it, folding it on the other half, kind of closing it all together. In the meantime, see my potatoes, got a nice crisp to them. Flip my omelet over. Lots falling out, no big deal. Alright, make sure the burners are all off. Make sure everything's off the burners, nothing's close, nothing's gonna light on fire. You don't want that. That's pretty much it. It's how to make leftover breakfast by just using leftovers out of your fridge. Good luck.
Bye, guys.